brother, my sister, to the beautiful kingdom of Mohéli in the Comoros. Now, Mohéli is spelled M-O-H-E-L-I. Correct pronunciation, Moali. Moali. And Moali is spelled M-W-A-L-I. So, English people would say Mohéli, but the indigenous people of the Comoros would say Moali. Moali is an autonomous island that forms part of the Union of the Comoros. It is the smallest of the three major islands in the country, and it is located in the Indian Ocean of the coast of Africa. And it is the smallest of the four major Comoro islands. Today we are talking about a great black woman, and this is the finale. By name, Djoumbé Fatima. Djoumbé Fatima. Djoumbé is spelled D-J-O-U-M-B-E, and the E has an accent aigu on it, so it's pronounced Djoumbé. 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 In other circles, she's known as Djoumbé. And in other circles, my brother, my sister, she has other names. We'll look at them one after the other. But in the African history class, today we are looking at Djoumbé Fatima. Djoumbé Fatima. Djoumbé is spelled D-J-O-U-M-B-E, and the E has an accent aigu on it. Fatima is spelled F-A-T-I-M-A. Now we all remember that Fatima was the favorite daughter of the Prophet of Islam, Muhammad. So Fatima is a very important name in Islam. My brother, my sister, we will see how the name of the Prophet of Islam, his daughter, I'm talking about Fatima, relates to this wonderful woman by name Djoumbé Fatima. Now, Djoumbé Fatima was born circa 1837. Circa 1837. Her father was a prince of Madagascar, who ran away from Madagascar from the king and came all the way to Mohéli. In fact, correct pronunciation, Moali, in the Comoros, and established himself as a king. My brother, my sister, interesting things happening right about now. Hear me now. We're talking about Djoumbé Fatima. Now, Djoumbé Fatima was born in 1837, circa, and she was born in Moali. Moali. Moali is in the Comoros. And the Comoros is one of the beautiful places in Africa that you can have a beautiful holiday. My brother, my sister, her father came all the way from Madagascar. I remember they always tell you Africa without Madagascar is incomplete. Madagascar is that solitary island that is right in front of Africa. Artists normally paint Madagascar as the tears of Africa. It's such a beautiful island. Oh my God, have mercy. Even though outside Africa it is considered as part of Africa. I love this wonderful island of Madagascar. Now, her father was a general, in fact, in the army. And he was called what? He was called Ramanateka. And I spell that R-A-M-A-N-A-T-E-K-A. Ramanateka. Ramanateka was a Malagasy prince who ran away from Madagascar after the death of the king Radama I. In fact, and he found himself all the way on the island of Moali. And over there, he became the king of the whole island. My brother, my sister, our heroine was born in 1837. Unfortunately for her, at the age that was considered so young, her father, the king, died. Yes, the father died. Her mother was called Mena. Mena. Some people say Marina. Others say Mena. And my brother, my sister, this was the mother of our heroine for today. Mena, or some people will call her Marina. Now, hear what happened now. The interesting thing about this story is this. Now, When our heroine was born, she was being groomed to become a king. Did you hear me? A female groomed to become king, because that was the only child of the king. It didn't take long. In 1841, something happened. What was this thing that happened? Something happened, and boom, the king died after a short illness in 1842. The king was ill in 1841, and by 1842, he died. How old was our heroine when the king died? She was only 5 years old. But she was the one who was supposed to be king. So what happened? Her mother decided to be king. In fact, she became the regent of the throne. The regent of the throne, class, you all understand that that's the caretaker of the throne. So she was holding forth this throne, and she was waiting for her daughter to grow up and become king. Now listen to the interesting thing. Her husband died in 1842. By the following year, she got married to the husband's advisor. Now the king died in 1842 when his daughter was only 5 years old. And the following year, his wife got married to his chief advisor. And the chief advisor took over the fatherly duties and also started ruling alongside his new wife. Now our heroine for today, Djoumbé Fatima, was also growing and was mentored by the chief advisor. Now the chief advisor decided to take over the fatherly duties and guided the young queen gradually into the kingship of the land of Mohéli. My brother, my sister, now her mother was called Ravau. Ravau, my brother, my sister, Ravau, a very beautiful woman, very powerful in her own way. Now when she was married to Chivandini, and Chivandini is spelled Tsivandini, Chivandini. Now Ravawa was the mother of our heroine, and remember the father, the king, was known as Ramanateka, as you've been told. So mother was called Ravawa, father was called Ramanateka. Now his chief advisor was known as Chivandini. When he died, Chivandini married his wife. But they were divorced in 1846. Just after 4 years of marriage, there was divorce. No child, nothing. And at the age of 12, our heroine ascended to the throne. Can you believe that? She became king at the age of 12. Very brilliant and very sharp. She ascended to the throne of Mohéli, and the people respected her because she was so brilliant. She had been coached by the chief advisor of the king who had just passed on. She was very smart. At the age of 12, she was already king. Her coronation took place in 1849. Now 2 years later, she was ready for something big internationally. Now the French came all the way from France and decided to install a governess. You know who a governess is? It's a woman who is a governor, right? The feminine for governor is governess. So they brought up a woman all the way from France to rule over and become the governess of the island of Mohéli. The 12-year-old king sat back and looked at the whole thing and told herself, hey, this is not going to be good enough. She allowed this to happen for 2 years. And then, right after that, in 1851, she decided to kick out the French governess and send her back to France with no apology. After she kicked out the governess, who was called Madame Droit. Now, droit in French simply means right. It means Madame Right. She's always right. But in this case, just after 2 years, she was kicked out because she became Madame Wrong and was sent all the way back to France. Now, the French were not happy with this because they saw this king, oh my God, the woman king, as an ally to France. But in this case, she was behaving differently and sent the governors home. The same year in 1851, she got married at the age of 14. She got married to a man by name Mohammed Nasser Mkadar. Mohammed Nasser Mkadar. And Mkadar is spelled M-K-A-D-A-R. Who was a cousin to the Sultan of Zanzibar. Now, it's very important to mention that Mohammed Mkadar was from the royal family of Zanzibar. Oh my God. And they got married at the age of 14. Hey! At the age of 14, they got married. And together, they ruled the people of Mohéli. See the interesting thing that happened? Hey! Just after a few years, they started making babies. In fact, they made babies. They started making babies. Now, their first child was a male, and he was called Muhammad bin Saidi Hamadi Nkadara. In fact, Nkadara in some cycles is Makadara. My brother, my sister, these are all Islamic names. Today, we're talking about Djoumbé Fatima, and we're about to end this class. She became king at the age of 12. By the age of 6, her father was already dead and gone. Oh, she was groomed to become a king. By the age of 12, she was king. By the age of 14, she got married. Same 14, she kicked out the French from the land of Mohéli and took over the whole area. Hey, she was a woman who loved to dress nice and beautiful. Here, the interesting thing that happened, she got married in 1851. Yes, 1851. And by 1859, that's 8 years after she got married, her first child was born. Oh my God. A year later, in 1860, she had another child. 2 years later, she had a third child. And then it continued like that. She had many more children. My brother, my sister. But she divorced her first husband and got married to 2 different sultans at 2 different times. My brother, my sister, she was a king. And so many kings in Africa and sultans around Africa were interested in marrying her. Djoumbé Fatima, she was so pretty. In fact, she made sure the army was so formidable and her land was very powerful. Oh my God. Her land had the best fish in the whole area. And interestingly, she was able to plant some wonderful agricultural products which were not found anywhere around the region. And most of the people in the area came to her land to relax and also to enjoy. In fact, at the time that she was king, Mohéli was referred to as the African heaven. The African heaven. Now, there was a time she went into total desolation. In fact, depression. She was divorced too many times, and she decided that she would not get married to any man again. She lived like a hermit, in other words, in solitude. See what happened now? She decided to make her first son the king of Mohéli. But when the French returned to the island in 1871, they went straight to her and told her there has never been a king like you in the whole region. Everybody respects you and loves you. Your son is not able to play the same way you are playing. Please return to the throne. They begged her to be part of the throne, and she decided to ascend the throne again in 1871. By 1871, she stayed on the throne. Unfortunately, she did not rule long anymore. 7 years later, in 1878, she fell ill and passed on. She died at the age of 41. Our heroine, my brother, my sister, was born on the island of Mohéli at the special place known as the Kuala. Quallah, Kuala, Kuala in Mohéli. And the Mohéli is found in the Comoros. Oh my God, beautiful island. At the time that she was king, the whole area of Mohéli was seen as the African heaven. And many people came from lands far and near to come over there and enjoy their vacation. In fact, it's one of the islands in history, my brother, my sister, that was known for tourism. So many people came in there. It was so peaceful. There was never any war at the time that she was king, even when the French came. Any order she gave to the French, they accepted it in good faith and left. And when she herself decided to give over the throne, oh my God, and gave it to her son, guiding her from behind, and stayed like a hermit, staying away from every little thing, just keeping to herself, they realized that the quality of the island was coming down. Mohéli was coming so down. The French had to come back in 1871 to beg her to ascend the throne again. And she decided she would ascend to the throne, but on condition that her son will continue to rule with her. She did not want to dethrone her own son. Oh gosh. And that was what it was. They ruled together. 7 years later, my brother, my sister, our beautiful heroine went down the drain. Today we remember you. Djoumbé Fatima. Djoumbé Fatima. One of the youngest kings Africa ever had. One of the youngest woman kings Africa ever had. She became king at the age of 12. By the age of 14, she was married. The same 14, she took full control of the island of Mohéli. The soldiers were on sentry duties night and day, even though there was peace all over the region. Oh, Djoumbé Fatima. Minubeko. Mese minubeko wate. Uniyamiko. She died in 1878 at the age of 41, and the whole of the island of Mohéli came to a standstill. People came from far and near, weeping and celebrating the legacy of the great, wonderful Djoumbé Fatima. And when she was laid in state, she was dressed up in very beautiful Turkish linen, spices all over her, and incense burning all over her as the smoke went high into the skies. They beat the drums. Oh my God, Djoumbé Fatima. She became one of the best kings the area ever had. During her reign, not even a single gunshot, not an arrow was shot. Her island was known for wonderful spices and wonderful fruits, some of the choicest you would ever find in Africa. Oh, Djoumbé Fatima. Uninyamiko. Mesemenoweko. Oh, Djoumbé Fatima. Oh. 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 Oh, Maba. Oh, Djoumbé Fatima. Today we remember you, Djoumbé Fatima, and we ask in the burden of knowledge, how will the life of Djoumbé Fatima impact your own life? She was the most peaceful woman king that area ever had. No gunshot, not even a single arrow was shot. She was able to maintain peace and unity amongst the people. And she refused to go to war with anybody. In fact, she had everything everybody needed. And she had the support of everybody. How did she do it? From the age of 12, she rose to become woman king. Oh, Djoumbé Fatima. Uninyamiko. Uninyamiko wate. In the burden of knowledge, I ask you, how will the life of Djoumbé Fatima impact your own life? In the burden of knowledge, I ask, now that you know, what would you do? Biane ni ole mini obafe yenzunda kagane mezaka yine ye an papango bokaya nang fifia yenya no kai na wo bana ehu ebeden misi bana ehu ebe ya bade lele anjima singa be kunne lele anjima singa beri aw It's been the African history class. And of course, my name, Blakk Rasta. Today we've been talking about Djoumbé Fatima. Papa Moula.